Let's imagine that each of these birds represents a stage in my life, a turning point, maturity, youth. The problem I'm having is that I can't distinguish which bird represents which stage of life. I had it all planned out very carefully. Went through, I got a special book, pencil, faithfully recorded all this information about the birds. But now I can't locate it. I think if I could locate it and I knew which bird represented, which stage, etc., then I think I could achieve a certain amount of clarity. As it is now, things are unclear. Partly, I think, because melancholy and depression ran in my family. It was like the tide. It was like the Mississippi at flood. Hang on, melancholy. So maybe that's why. I remember when my dad died, we put his brain in the bread box, and you look at it, and it was sort of dried up and stiff. I forgot to tell you, he loved birds. That was his passion in life. Anyway, so we're looking at his brain, and it looks really like a dried up brain, except there are these little moments of flourishing. What does that mean? It means some kind of spark, and you can tell that has to do, it's sort of like a remnant of a particular day, a particular bird that he had sighted on that day. Anyway, that was Dad, but of course there's regulation against keeping body parts in the kitchen close to food. So that was a problem. What I meant to say is I like cashews. I only like cashews. And cashews and bourbon, a great combination. I like to sometimes buy a can of mixed nuts. And I open it up and I can stir the nuts around, and I can tell the wrong nuts, the non-cashews, I can say no. So it's something like this, a stir, 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 stir. No, 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 no. Well, all these birds have different diets. Some like sunflowers, others little bugs. First pigeon I ever saw was in Boston. I was about 3 years old. It landed on a windowsill. I should tell you about my grandfather. The reason I remember that pigeon is because my mother was convinced, my grandfather just died, my mother was convinced that the pigeon was him. And that's because, she wasn't crazy, a little strange, but not crazy. And that's because my grandfather had told her when she was young that if he could, he would come back and tell her about the afterlife, and that she should look out for manifestations. And so she assumed that pigeon who was staring at her was manifesting old Grandpa. I never met Grandpa, and it's one of the things I regret in life. He was apparently a bright fellow, spoke many languages, had a beautiful handwriting, wrote a very elegant English, although he was French, and quite an athlete. He could dive down under the water and stay there for 3 and sometimes longer, 3 minutes, close to 4 minutes. I can't do that myself, so what I do is I make these birds, and it keeps me occupied. What do you do?